Good, happy Saturday evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to Good Evening, New Hampshire. Let's get started, and we're going to begin with your local news. I hope you all enjoy this Saturday evening of Good Evening, New Hampshire, February 15, 2020. Let's begin with your local news. Merrimack Police. Man drives by ex-workplace with loaded AR-15 handgun after threatening employees. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Tim Callery.
Burst out the door when it matters most. For more than a decade, he's been right there, everywhere. And when American jobs are on the line, he leads the charge. ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast, and we thank you.
Well, police say they found 2 firearms along with several rounds of ammunition inside Corey Godinez's vehicle when they pulled him over on his way to work. Now, Godinez was an employee of Lifeline Ambulance here in Merrimack. He has since been fired. Officials say they received a call from the manager there yesterday morning stating the 29-year-old threatened a co-worker on Thursday. While police were investigating at Lifeline, they say Godinez drove by the property. Police pulled him over and searched his vehicle, and that's when they found a loaded handgun, as well as an AR-15 rifle with multiple loaded magazines and additional ammunition.
No one can predict with 100% certainty what would have happened, but I think based on the reported state of mind, the fact that he drove to that location, the threats that were made, and the fact that he had firearms in the car, I don't think it would be a stretch to say that we might have prevented an active shooter event from taking place there.
And tonight, police are really crediting that co-worker for coming forward. As for Godinez, he is being held until a court hearing on Tuesday. We're live here in Merrimack. I'm Tim Callery, WMUR News 9.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into national news. In national news, London flight placed on lockdown after passengers show symptoms of coronavirus. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
The latest on the novel coronavirus, the U.S. government is now preparing to evacuate nearly 400 Americans stranded on a cruise ship in Japan.
Many look forward to a cruise vacation, but these folks have been stuck on this ship for a week and a half. And when they get back to the U.S., they will go back into quarantine.
All this as we're learning of the first death from the virus outside of Asia. Chinese man dying in Paris. For the latest on all of this, let's go to ABC's Maggie Rulli, who's in Yokohama, Japan. Maggie, good morning to you.
Eva, good morning. All week people have been telling us that they are desperate to get off of this ship, but now they're saying they feel like they've been given 2 bad options. Either they get on this evacuation flight and then they're stuck in quarantine for another 2 weeks, or they stay on board, but then they're not sure when they'll be allowed back in the United States.
Tensions are running pretty high.
This morning, plans now underway to evacuate nearly 400 Americans stranded aboard the quarantined Diamond Princess. The cruise ship docked in Japan for more than 11 days. At least 285 people on board have tested positive for the COVID-19 virus, including another 67 new cases announced just today. The U.S. Embassy says the emergency evacuation will begin tomorrow. All Americans who show no symptoms and want to leave will be flown back to the U.S., where they'll undergo another 2 weeks of quarantine. U.S. authorities say the more than 23 Americans who already tested positive for the virus will continue their treatment in Japan. People like John Herring. He and his wife Melanie were on board celebrating his retirement. We've been following them all week as John battled a high fever, and yesterday he tested positive for the virus.
I'm alone here in the room, and I would rather be back on the cruise ship.
Back home, health officials are working to stop the spread before it begins.
individuals who present with flu-like symptoms will also be tested for the China coronavirus. This will give us an early warning system of further spread in the United States.
The U.S. announcing it will now be testing for COVID-19 in 5 major cities in cases where flu tests were negative: Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York.
We want people to understand we likely will see more cases here in the United States.
And on Friday, San Diego taking no chances. County public health officials declaring health and local emergencies out of an abundance of caution after 2 people who were on an evacuation flight from China tested positive for the virus.
Those Americans on board will have to decide about being evacuated by tomorrow when the plane comes. But many of them tell us that they're now scared for their health. Guys, they spent the last 11 days trying to avoid everyone. And now they're about to get on a bus and a plane with potentially sick people. Guys.
Amazing. They got to go through quarantine again. Maggie, really for us, thank you. We really appreciate it.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into your weather. Your weather for tonight. Partly cloudy skies this evening will become overcast overnight. Low 16 degrees. Winds southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And for tomorrow, sunshine and clouds mixed. High 41 degrees. Wind southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into sports. In sports, the Bruins played a game this afternoon, and let's take a look at the final score from the game. And here's a look at that final score of the Bruins game today. And the Bruins won the game today. Go Bruins, and congratulations, Bruins. They play their next game tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Excellent job, Bruins. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into New Hampshire life. And let's take a look at your evening event calendar this evening. Murder Mystery, 6:30 p.m. at the Governor's Inn. Hammer and Stain, Pick Your Project, 6:30 p.m. at the Canvas Road Show. Love /Sick, a romantic comedy by the Majestic Theater, 7 p.m. at the Majestic Theater Studio. Live music with Paul Warnock, 7 p.m. at Patrick's Pub and Eatery. Johnny A. and Popeye Chubby, 2 leads, 1 night, 7:30 p.m. at the Flying Monkey Museum Movie and Performance Center. Neil Simon's The Odd Couple, the female version, 7:30 p.m. at the Concord City Auditorium. 19-piece Compact Big Band with vocalist Renee Dupree's A Puttin' on Rex Valentine, 7:30 p.m. at the Rex Theater. Vintage Jazz Live, 7:30 p.m. at local cafes at Nielsen Candy Store. The Annual Movement Concert Reflection, 7:30 p.m. at New England College, the Rosamond Page Putman Center for Performing Arts. And a Skull in Premiere, 8 p.m. at the Players Ring Theater. And that is a look at your event calendar this evening. Godsmack brings hundreds of students together in Manchester to perform a music video. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Mike Cronin.
every day you get a lesson from the musicians you grew up listening to.
It's absolutely insane. Nothing like it. Godsmack is crazy, you know? You know, it's like, it's really a dream come true.
To be with the band that you follow a lot, it's really special.
Godsmack brought all their instruments to SNHU Arena, but not for a show. More than 300 local students are learning their music and performing with them as the rock band films its new music video for the song Unforgettable.
I've been a huge fan of Godsmack since I was like a young kid. My mom made me listen to that kind of stuff growing up, so it's like to be able to play with the drummer himself, it's like totally scratch off the bucket list right there.
Sing loudly and proudly. Frontman Sully Erna led the charge alongside the whole band.
It's exciting, it's inspirational knowing, that we're still liked. We wanted to give back to the community. We're from this area.
Bassist Robbie Merrill says when they recorded Unforgettable 3 years ago, they wanted to eventually have kids sing it as a choir.
It's a memory that they're going to have for the rest of their life. And for us, it's easy. It's like, hey, let's do a video and let's bring people in.
Godsmack has been making music for more than 20 years now.
It's like a dream come true. It's kind of crazy to be like in a room with Godsmack playing with them and just like playing to their song, going to be in one of their videos. It's huge.
Okay, and there you go. Very cool indeed. Sled Dog Derby returns to Laconia. Let's take a look at that video.
Three, 2, 1, and go!
In Laconia, the 91st Annual World Championship Sled Dog Derby is off to a great start.
We can't get any faster than the trails we got, and we don't really have any problems.
The race was canceled for 2 years because of poor snow conditions. This year, the competitors say the course is in good shape.
It's good. It's really hard packed. It's really fast. It's beautiful out there. Very good. They did a lot of work and it paid off.
One thing you quickly realize at this event, the family connections. This sport is passed down from generation to generation. What's it like to kind of spend this time with your sister in this way?
Most of the time we get along. Sometimes we have different ideas about how dogs should be trained, but in the end it all works out. We get to hang out every weekend and hang out with the dogs, and we're working and staying up late and being grumpy in the morning, so we have to like each other.
How important is it for you to kind of keep it going in your family?
I think it's important that if she wants to do it, she has the opportunity to do it. And not everybody's cut out for this. It's devotion. It's lifelong. It's constant.
The combination of tough snow conditions and rising costs have made it tougher on the sport, but for those that keep going, racing in Laconia is worth it.
It's very important, and I'm glad they're able to keep this going, even though our winters are getting warmer and less reliable for snow.
We're fortunate that we still draw big time from Quebec. They have a big race circuit in Canada, and they work together with us to leave this weekend open to run Laconia.
In Laconia, Jessica Moran, WMUR News 9.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. Looks like a fun event there. Now, let's switch gears and go into entertainment news. Justin Bieber on how Haley inspired his new album. Let's take a listen to that video from Entertainment Tonight.
I'm friggin' married now, and I got the best wife in the world. She supports me through so much. I'm really honored to be her husband.
Okay, there's no denying it. Justin Bieber is the freaking cutest when it comes to talking about wife Haley. And we should expect a whole lot more because the Biebs basically wrote his entire new album, Changes, about her.
You know, this is an album I wrote in the first year of our marriage, so it's like, it's so fresh, and there's so much more to learn about commitment and, building trust and foundation. I'm looking forward to continuing to build and make music that's going to reflect that.
Talk about goals. I love him. Justin's new interview is for Apple Music, and he's also getting candid about making the new record and the obstacles he went through.
I was dealing with a lot of fear, a lot of just was afraid of at that point, just even the process. What am I gonna talk about again? Is it gonna be received? I'm starting to compare with other artists.
The process seemingly turned out to be pretty therapeutic for him, though.
It's almost like we need to run towards the pain and run towards the hurt rather than run away from it. I think you get kind of healing when it comes to that.
Justin has been really vulnerable lately, also sharing a ton in his YouTube docuseries about his life and, yes, more Haley.
Since I was young, I always wanted to be married. I always wanted a family. That was always high on my list. And I have the sickest chick in the game. She's so awesome.
It all happened really fast and kind of all at once, but, him and I have known each other for so long that there was a part of it that didn't feel scary, but it's just such a big life decision that it was so much emotion all at one time.
But if you want even more Justin, have no fear. He's already thinking about what's next.
I'm excited about this, but I'm just there's so much more, there's so much deeper levels I'm excited to go to, which is fun. It gives me something to look forward to. I think in the past I was so caught up in all of the bad things in my life that I wasn't able to really take a second and really appreciate all the little things. But yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be good.
Changes is out now. It's his first album in nearly 5 years since Purpose.
I felt like I lost my purpose for a while. I felt like I didn't, I wasn't chasing after what I knew I was, or who I knew I was. Purpose is such an important thing in life, and I just wanted to use my platform to tell people that, I guess.
All right, guys, that's it for today. Go listen to Changes. Let us know what you think. And for more on Justin, make sure that you stick with all things ET. Until next time, I'm Katie Krause, and bye for now.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this edition of Good Evening New Hampshire. I hope you all enjoyed watching this edition of Good Evening New Hampshire. Have a great rest of your Saturday evening, everyone. I'll see you back here tomorrow for more news coverage. Good night and bye, everyone.